In this video, you'll see the solution to the practice exercise Floor Shape Editing. In this exercise, we must create a new floor type and assign the variable thickness option to one of the layers within the floor assembly. We must then create a new floor in the model in the shape of an external ramp, and then use the shape editing tools to make the floor slope between levels and form a landing in the middle. I have the exercise file Floor Shape Editing open, and we can see in the 3D view here, zooming in, the area where we need to create the floor. To do this, we'll open up the floor plan view external, and again we'll zoom into the area here where we're going to create our floor. So to begin the floor, we'll go to the Architecture ribbon tab, and from the Build panel we'll click on the Floor tool. And the first step is to create a new floor type. So looking at the type selector, we've got the floor site paving type. We'll click Edit Type to access its type properties here. And then we'll click Duplicate, and we'll call this Site Paving Ramp. And then we'll click OK to create that new type. Next, we need to access the structure. So in the type parameters here on the construction panel, we'll click the edit button next to the structure parameter. And we can see the layers that make up the floor type here. So we've got the brick pavers, which are 9 inches thick, and then the concrete cast in place, which is 1 foot thick. And all we need to do is to check the variable option next to the concrete cast in place for layer 3. So we'll click OK, and then OK once more to save that floor type. And now we're ready to start sketching the boundary of the floor in. So from the Modify ribbon tab on the Draw panel here, we'll change from Pick Walls to Sketch Lines. And then we'll start by zooming in and snapping to the intersection of the end of the wall and the existing floor just here. Now we'll draw away horizontally, and we'll type in the dimension of 31 feet. And next we'll come down vertically and we'll type in 16 feet. We'll come back horizontal again and 31 feet once more. Then vertically up by 7 feet. And then we're going to come back into the middle of the floor slab here by 24 feet. And then up just 2 feet, so we can use the temporary dimension for this one. And then we'll come across and snap to the end of the floor here, and then back to the start again to create that enclosed boundary for us. So that's sketched in the shape of the floor that we need. So back up on the Modify ribbon tab here, we'll click Finish Edit Mode to create that floor slab. And we can see that we've got a warning telling us that highlighted floors overlap. That's because we've created our floor at the external level and there's already another floor there. So swapping back to the 3D view, we can see those floors overlapping. We can just ignore this warning, we'll just click off, and we can see our floor here in place. So next we need to add some split lines in. So I'll swap back to the external view. And now with that floor selected, we can go to the Modify Floors ribbon, and from the Shape Editing panel here, we'll click Add Split Line. We can see now the boundary of the floor in the green dashed lines here. And we need to start by snapping to one of the corner points just here, so we'll click onto that. And then we'll go vertically up, and again we need to snap to the intersection of the opposite edge just here. So that's the first split line. Now we'll go and do the same on the opposite side. So again, we'll snap to the point here, and then coming vertically down, we'll snap to the outside edge. So that's got those 2 split lines added. Again, if I swap back to the 3D view, we can see those split lines in the view there. And the next thing we need to do is to edit the elevation of the edges to form the ramp. So going back to the Modify Floors ribbon tab, we'll click Modify Sub-Elements. And we'll start by picking the edge at what will be the top of the ramp. And we can see that this currently just has an elevation of 0, obviously, because we haven't edited it yet. And we need to change the elevation of this to be 4 feet. So I'll just click on the temporary dimension here and type in 4 feet. And we can see now that that moves that edge up to meet the upper level here at the top of the ramp. So now we need to pick the edges around the landing here at the halfway point. So we'll click on, and then using the control key, we can pick the rest of the edges around the landing here. And now, because we have multiple edges selected, we need to go up to the options bar here and set the elevation there. So we'll change this to be 2 feet. And then once we've applied that, we can see now that we've got the landing in our ramp. So again, we've got our lower slope coming up to the landing, and we're going up to the top to meet the level as we need it. So that finishes editing the floor. I'll click on Modify to finish the Modify Sub-Elements tool here. We want to add some slope arrows into the plan view, so we'll go back to the external plan view. And then from the Annotate ribbon tab here, on the Dimensions panel, we'll click on Spot Slope. And now, as we move over, we can see that obviously the floor up here has no slope, but as we go over our ramp, we can see we have that 1 in 12 slope indicated. So we'll click to place that. And then on the opposite side here, still going down the ramp, we'll click to place the same 1 in 12 slope. So now we'll go to the 3D view. And if I select on the floor, looking at the Modify Floors ribbon here, we can see that we have that warning that we ignored earlier on. And if I click on, we can see that that is our highlighted floors overlap. And we can see those floors in the view here, with it highlighting where they overlap. So we'll close this. And the way we'll clear this warning is we'll join the two floors together. So from the Modify ribbon tab, on the Geometry panel here, we'll click on the Join Geometry tool. And now we'll pick on the main floor first. And again, we can see that floor overlapping. And now when we click onto this, the two will be joined together and the overlapping part of the floor will disappear. Again, if I now reselect this floor, we can see that we no longer have that warning in the model. And that completes the floor shape editing exercise.